I'm going to take this beautiful tri-tip with all of that intramuscular fat and I'm going to cook it like it was a brisket. I'm looking for juicy, fall apart tender slices of beef that taste freaking amazing.
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Let's get this beauty out of the package. When I first laid my eyes on this tri-tip, every now and then you walk around and you see a piece of beef and you think, oh, that's mine. And that's what I recommend, Sometimes you might go like shopping for a piece of beef, but it's also, sometimes you go to the butcher purposefully. Also, sometimes it's nice to not have a purpose, not know what you're going to cook, but just look for the most beautiful piece of beef that is at the butcher shop. And then take that one and then cook something with that. That's almost like women's shoe shopping for men. Look at it. All that intramuscular fat is just crazy. I would love to just slice into it and just show you the inside. I'm not going to do that though. But judging this, we don't need to trim this much. Only the fat cap right here is a little bit much. It's a little too thick. So I'm going to trim that off somewhat. Because what I want to do is treat this like a brisket. I want the fat to render down on top of it. So it's so soft that I can poke my finger through it. Therefore, I need it a little thinner than it is at the moment. I'm going to get rid of that dark red spot right there. That's it. And normally I would take this beautiful piece of beef and I would grill it. I would do a reverse sear, like let it come up to temperature and then sear it off and get that beautiful fat cap that sits on the outside to become crunchy with a little bit of salt on top. But now I'm cooking it like a brisket, so that's a whole different story. I'm going to take this piece of beef, I'm going to season it like a brisket, but I'm going to season it all the way. And I'm using the pitmasterx Texas Barbecue Beef Rub. Now the recipe for that seasoning is on our website, or you can buy it in your favorite barbecue store. I'm going to sprinkle a nice light coat on the meat side as well as on the fat cap side until I got it completely covered. And of course I'm not going to throw away the beef fat, just going to slice that nice and fine to get it into these tiny pieces. And then I'm going to put it into my fat box. This is not officially my fat box, but I got a new box, so I'm going to save this for later. I'm going to be cooking my tri-tip on the Napoleon Kettle Grill Pro. This is not just any Kettle Grill Pro, this is the new Kettle Grill Pro. I'm just going to use some briquettes. These briquettes have a little bit of smoke wood in them, which will make them absolutely perfect for the job. Briquettes burn a little slower than charcoal, and with the smoke wood integrated, I don't need to add anything else. What I want to do is don't put too much charcoal in your Kettle Grill. If you put too much fuel in your barbecue all at once, you have the possibility of that barbecue running out of control. That goes for ceramic barbecues, for Kettle Grills, even for gas grills. So just take it slow, put in a few briquettes. I'm gonna light them up with a few embers from the fire that I got going over there, and that will make the burn even slower because it will go from one side of the stack of briquettes to the other side. I'm gonna put my grill grates in, set them to the highest position. I'm gonna close the lid. I'm gonna leave the top vent all the way open, and I'm gonna close the bottom vent to the #1 stripe. That's going to let the temperature get up to about 120 degrees Celsius. You see it's already smoking. This thing is such a beautiful grill. Now that the grill is getting warmed up, it's time to put our beautiful tri-tip in. The thickest part towards the hottest part of the grill, which kind of makes sense because you want that to cook more than the tiny part that sits on the back here. That's probably going to be overcooked at the end. I'm really aiming for the center part to be cooked to perfection. And of course this little box of mine is going to go on the barbecue on the side right there. And then close the lid, just let it come up, and every 15 minutes or so I'm going to check on the temperature and see if it's dialed in properly until I got it spot on, and then I can just relax and check every half hour or so. We're now 2 hours in the cook and I see that the temperature is dropping a little bit on my barbecue. And whoa, that is an indication that you need to check. That's what I wanted to say. And I can clearly see that the briquettes are burning up slowly, and they're not all the way done yet, but there's just a few left. We're running at a 60 Celsius core temperature. Let's check the beef tallow, see how it's doing. Oh, the beef tallow is rendering nicely. So I'm gonna add a few briquettes. Be careful, don't add too much. It's better to add briquettes like 3 times in a cook. What I didn't mention is that I turned the tri-tip halfway through. So at 1.5 hours, I'm going to do it again, because of course you have the radiation heat from one side and the cold lid from the other side, and even though the hot air is just running around, I still want to prevent it from getting hot spots and cold spots. Now I have the fat cap pointed towards the bottom because that's where most of the radiation heat comes from, and the hot air is just going over the top, and that's going to give me a beautiful bark. This is starting to look really, really good. 3.5 hours into the cook, time to check oil. Oh, that looks so good. Oh, there's a little bubble there. Should I touch it? If I touch it, it will probably burst. It's like a juice bubble on the outside of this beef. See that? Like a juice bubble? Juice bubble. Oh, there's another one. Let's just check the core temperature. This looks so freaking delicious. Oh, it's 85, it's so close. That means it's currently rendering down all the fat and becoming like this beautiful piece of beef, but I want to protect it a little more. You can't see the other side right now, but let me show you. I'm getting a little bit more heat on this side. The bark is forming, it's slowly coming along. And what I want to do is I want to create a foil boat to protect it from the direct heat. Keep it nice and juicy. Now you see that the top is open, and the reason that we leave the top open is because I want the fat to render down completely, and I need the hot air to go on top of that beautiful tri-tip. And we're getting closer and closer. And let's check on the, look at that. You see that? A little bit of gold on the tri-tip. There we go. I'll let that continue to render. There we go, lid back on. Close the lid before the temperature rises up again, and it's what you got to be careful with the Kettle grills. You got to keep that temperature in check. With now 3.5 hours under the way, I'm guessing, because in the stove in between 70 degrees and 85 degrees, and that makes it cook a lot slower. Checking the temp. Whoa, we're at 94. That's a little over what I normally do. I normally take 92 as a target temperature, which means we got to get it off right now. Now, of course, I need to let this rest. And I'm not going to let it rest in aluminum foil, because then the heat would just go up and up and up, and then it would overcook, even to the point where we might get it as far as where it's going to fall apart on me. So that's what I don't want. That's why I got this butcher's paper laid out. I'm going to take the tri-tip out of the foil boat. Of course, the beef tallow that we rendered down is going to go back on the tri-tip, together with the beef tallow that we rendered down. And you see, we didn't let anything go to waste. You see how the end shrunk and got a little bit darker. I think that's the part that's going to be overcooked, but here in the center, it should be absolutely perfect. Let's fold this up. You see, we're capturing the beef tallow and the moisture. I'm gonna wait about 10 to 15 minutes for it to stable out on temperature. And then I'm gonna put it in my oven, setting it at a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius. You can also keep this in a cooler if you want to, but that's the way I prefer to do it, to keep the temperature stable. And if it takes longer for me to get to the dinner table and get everything ready, it doesn't matter to me, because it's still gonna be warm and ready to be served. Don't think I'll be throwing this away. This might look like, I don't know what this looks like. It looks like bacon almost. And to me personally, rendered out fat, almost the perfect thing. If you just add a little bit of, ooh, hold on. If you just add a little bit of pitmasterx beef rub to this, whoa, and just serve it up for your guest on the side. I can't figure out how to name this or how to explain how good this is, but you figure it out. Just give it a try. I don't know how to name this. All right, this is it, the magical moment, the moment of truth, the moment that I'm really, really hungry and I really need to eat something, and preferably barbecue. Oh, yo, I'm so glad we say, oh. All right, without further ado, I'm gonna slice into that. But you gotta keep in mind that this is a tri-tip. So that means that the fibers run in different directions. Actually, 3 different directions. These are pointed down like that. These are running in this direction, and this is running in this direction. So, but I'll do that later after I get the middle slice, because I know you wanna see that. Oh, why, yo. Oh, look at that smoke ring. Insane. We got the juiciness, the fat rendered down, most of it, like if I put my finger in it, it's just gonna fall apart. So that was what I'm looking for. You get juicy, juicy beef. Look at it. That is so good looking. Let's get a slice out of this. I really need to sharpen that knife. Now for the pull test, that is a nice bit of pull. Look at that. It tears up, but it doesn't fall apart on its own. Of course, you can't do the finger test because the slices are just too small. It doesn't make any sense. Let's do the taste test. Wow, beef flavor, juiciness, smokiness. Can't believe how much this tastes like brisket. No, of course, I smoked it like a brisket and it is beef and I seasoned it like brisket, but still, it tastes a freaking lot like brisket. It tastes so good. I'm so glad I seasoned the fat cap the same way I've seasoned the bottom. This is just a family-sized brisket. Perfect for the wife, 2 kids. You can do this on a Tuesday. If you're working at home, you might want to smoke a tri-tip on the side. Good for the mental health. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, then leave us a big thumbs up. And who knows, you might want to become a member. I know it's kind of new, but it's like a Patreon thing on YouTube, and your support means a lot to us, so. I decided we called this a baby brisket.
Wow, I can eat this whole thing.
I just told them that this is
shouldn't.
more a family size thing. But okay, Jim can eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.